So thank you again everyone for attending today. Much appreciated. Certainly some interesting things happening in markets. We obviously had the ECB meeting yesterday that's sending the euro lower, and the DAX index is breaking out above 13,000 to new record highs. And obviously got the crisis in Catalonia, certainly not helping the euro either. That's literally like a minute-by-minute changing situation. So lots of stuff going on, but we're not actually going to be discussing those today. We're going to be looking at the nuts and bolts of the LCG Trader platform. That's the premier trading platform available from London Capital Group. So I've got a few slides just kind of explain the process of what I'm doing, but actually the bulk of this webinar is just going to be us looking at the LCG Trader platform. If you've got a couple of screens, you can obviously follow along and do the same thing. You don't even need two screens, just have a separate window open playing along with the directions. But I should mention that this webinar will be available as a recording a few hours after this live event, so you can rewatch it as well. So this is what we'll be covering today. The market information. So number one, when you're placing a trade, you need to know about the market you're trading before you trade it. It sounds obvious, but some people miss that vital step. We'll look at how to place a deal. Let's just open a trade, basically. We'll look at orders. So that's, a sort of a slightly more complicated way of entering a trade at future prices. Also adding in automatic exits for your trades. We'll look at how you can look through your trading history. That's a massively important part of trading that a lot of people tend to gloss over. Is just going back through your past trades and looking at some basic statistics and just seeing where you can improve. Oftentimes it's just cutting out a few silly mistakes that literally is the difference between being a profitable and unprofitable trader. We'll look at, we've got some news and trade signals that come into the platform, so we're going to look at where to find those. There's different layouts for the platforms. We'll try and explore those and see which one suits your particular style of trading. The watch lists are absolutely integral for me, just looking at the key markets, see how the prices are moving in the day, and just it's an easy way to place a trade. I pretty much do everything I do via the watch list. Place a trade through there, open a chart through there, etc. We'll do that. Price alerts, that's useful obviously when you're away from the platform. These days we've got the mobile platform, but still you don't necessarily want to be staring at that all day either. So if you are away from both the PC and mobile platforms, then you can set yourself a price alert, and when the market hits a level you are interested in, you can obviously get that alert and react to it. Obviously charting, certainly a big deal for me. I'm chartered market technician, so officially chartered in technical analysis, so I really do enjoy looking at the charts, and there's a lot of functionality in the LCG Trader platform. And then we'll just go through some of the sort of general functions that you'd want to probably use on a daily basis. Depositing money, withdrawing money, things like that. So let's take a look at the platform. So this is the kind of what I'm going to go through here. I'm going to drag this off to my other screen, and then I'm going to pull up into full screen. Oh, what am I going to bookmark manager? What I really want to do was that, I suppose. So, when you log into the platform, it should look something along these lines. I've got it set as spread betting here. I'm in the UK, so that's a lot of people's default. But pretty much most of what I'm going to show you is all of it, I would say, is applicable to both spread betting and CFD accounts. So just a few of the kind of basic typical markets people look at on the screen here: Euro, gold, Wall Street, obviously the Dow Jones, Royal Bank of Scotland. I just put on today out of interest just because they printed some not too bad results. So obviously we've got individual shares on here as well, and the UK 100 are proxy for the FTSE 100. So step number one. This is something I covered a lot of ground on in a previous webinar, which is how to spread bet and how to trade CFDs. They kind of cover exactly how these markets work. So I'm not going to go over old ground here, but basically, if you click on the instrument that you're interested in within the watch list, and you click on the I button, it gives you all the information about the market you're trading. Again, I'm not going to go all into that again. But the crux of it is that if you want to place a trade, what I'll typically do is go to the watch list here. Now, if you don't see the watch list up front, maybe you just see a chart, you can actually just buy and sell up here from the chart itself. Or what you can do is right up here in the right-hand corner, you see where now it's set up as the default layout, which again, this is how it should look when you first log in. But you can change it. So maybe in this case you wouldn't see the watch list. In this case, you don't see anything, and then in this case, we just see the watch list, but not the bottom window. The trade watch window is typically what we call this bottom section. So if you just go to any instrument, so the UK 100, and we literally just click buy. So you notice that there we go. We already had one trade open on the FTSE 100, and so you can see now the time is 12:40. We've already got this existing trade running on the FTSE 100. So they're both just showing up as separate trades. If I'd wanted to not have a separate position here, there's different ways of doing that. I'll show you that in a minute. Now, obviously, I just click the button and entered the trade. Literally click the buy button. You can equally click the sell button. If I click the sell button there, if I drag this little section up, there indeed is at 12:41, our current time, there is our sell order on the FTSE. So we're pretty hedged in these two positions at the moment. So then what you can do next is, say we've got these a series of open positions here. What we can decide to do is obviously close it, or the other thing we can do is modify it. So what you would want to do then is just click on this modify button here. And so a good one perhaps is this euro-dollar position where just got a little profit on there at the moment. We're trading quite big size at £10 a point. So we just click on this button here within this trade watch window. And what we can do is, which I think is a really good feature which a lot of platforms don't have, is that you can say, well, what I'm buying £2 a point at the moment. No, sorry, I'm buying £10 a point at the moment. But do I want to be £10 a point, or would I want to be something else? So this is what we currently are. But do we want to be that or not? So you can. Oh, so hold on. We're £2 a point. So default, it shows you what your desired size is. So we're long 2 positions in the pound at the moment. But so you can just close your position, or if you wanted to make yourself into a bigger position, you could buy an extra 8, or you could in fact cut it down to smaller than it was, and you actually. So if you want to be just buying by £1 instead of the current position of £2. Oh, sorry, the reason for my confusion there is that I clicked on Royal Bank of Scotland and I actually meant to click on euro-dollar. So that's why we're showing long £2 a point. So just to reiterate that point, if I click on euro-dollar here it's showing with £10 a point. That's our current position size, right? In Royal Bank of Scotland, it was £2. So sorry for any confusion there. So say we don't want to be long £10 a point, and we can just drop it down to even £1 a point. That would mean us selling 9 parts of our position. All right, so we've got that out of the way. Obviously, we can add to it too. We just, we're suddenly with £200 a point without buying another £190 worth per point. What we can also do is modify our pending orders. So you can add in a stop loss So you could just say I want a stop loss added in there, or add in a take profit, or in fact a trailing stop loss if you wanted so to do that. So at the moment we don't have any pending orders, so hence, you know, we're clicking on here, but there's no pending orders to change at this point. So if we want to in fact add a stop loss, for example, there's different ways we can do it here. We can do it via points. We can say we want a stop loss 10 points away from the market, just make it 10. You know, we could say we want it 100 points away from the market, or we could just set an exact price, which may be equivalent to 100 points down, would just be writing in 7,400. I want to be out of the trade at that point. And obviously we can set where we want to take our profits. Maybe just an extra 100 points up, or we could just say, well, it's about 7,600. We could just say, oh, we want to just take our profit at 7,600, or you could just say, I'm looking to make about 0.5% on this trade, and so you could and you can sort of judge the number. So if you're happy with those modifications, then that's it. You just click the protect button and suddenly those two extra orders are there. And you'll see now that whereas our other positions didn't have a take profit or stop loss, our UK 100 position now does. So that's the main bulk of what you're going to be doing in terms of modifying position. We do have some advanced features, which is this button here, and which is quite nice. You know, what a lot of professional traders will do. It helps obviously having a larger account to be able to do this. You'll actually take profits at multiple points. So you won't just have one entrance and one take profit. You'll actually have multiple take profit points as you kind of scale into and scale out of positions. And we even have a feature here which a lot of people like to do, is move stop loss to break even. So a lot of people would do this manually, but you can actually set to automatically do this. So when you're up 1 point, you could just move your stop loss to break even, and then if the market drops back a point again, then you're going to be knocked out of your trade, but you'll have guaranteed yourself that you didn't make a loss. 1 point's a little bit small in my opinion, but again, it depends on how short-term your trading is. You can obviously just change it to 100 points or whatever. So once you're making a 100-point profit, then you move your stop loss to break even, and then if the market does drop again, at least you're going to come away break even. Versus if it were the market were to fall all the way back down to your original stop loss, you can avoid that happening. And so obviously the other thing that you can do here is there's very quick ways to double up your trade, as I mentioned quickly before. So say we're buying selling euro dollar here. Say if we just want to double our position, so instead of selling £10 a point, we want to sell 20. Just click those two arrows. There you go. You can see it's now 20. You want to do it again? We're now £40 a point. 2 times 20 is now 40. Say we're suddenly thinking, oh my God, the market's actually going to turn around and you know, I'm actually feeling a little bit like I want to go long euro now. Well, I'll do it on a different position just for the sake of argument. Say we're not too happy with our FTSE trade at the moment. We're buying, but maybe we think the market's rolling over. We just reverse it. So see, at the moment we're buying 0.5. Now we should be selling it. That's the trade I just made there, right? So we're now selling the FTSE. Is that right? I believe so. All right, so and then you get a little notice in the right corner saying that there will be it will take place at VWAP, the volume weighted average. So that's things you could kind of mess around with the size of your position. If you just want to close it out, you just literally click that price on the edge there. You've got the close button. Say suddenly you think, there's something big's happening in the market, or maybe maybe it's almost the weekend, you don't want to hold trades over the weekend, whatever the reason is, you just want to close everything out in one fell swoop, you can just do that right up here. Close your 4 positions that you have, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 here, obviously. Click that button, and boom, they'd all be gone. So that's the bulk of what we're doing as far as deals. So if I'm dragging my PowerPoint back in here, we've covered most of these points. So we've covered a lot of the orders section as well, because typically what you can do when you're into a trade, you can modify an order. But what I want to do show you quickly is how to actually place an order in the first place. Oh, I see that Ruben's asking that question right now, so that works rather nicely. I think I'm going to be answering your question right in a second, Ruben. So say we had some good results on in Apple and Facebook and Tesla overnight. So let's say we want to buy the US Tech 100, basically our proxy for the NASDAQ. But you don't want to just buy into it. You actually want to place an order. What you can do is basically set yourself a see this little button here above the buy and sell buttons. This is create a new order. So before I even show you that, another thing I want to quickly show you is if you go up to the preferences up here, the very first option under preferences is Quicktrade. Notice how I've got mine set to single click. So when I click the buy or sell button, boom, I'm in the trade. You can also set it to double click, which some people like just because you have to double click the mouse, so there's not less chance of accidental trades. Or you can completely disable it. And if you disable the single click or the double click, then actually when you click on the buy or sell button, it will bring up the order box, which I'm about to show you. So here we go. Here is this order screen, and this is the new deal ticket. So you can set that you just want to enter the trade now as a market order. So you could just buy or sell and just set your stop loss, set your take profit right up front. Or what you can indeed do is, you see we're on a kind of default deal ticket, like this thing, the buy and sell is generally referred to as a deal ticket. But what you can actually decide to do is, say in the case we're waiting for maybe a breakout of some previous levels, we could actually set a price higher than the current market price. So if we're looking at the US Tech 100, the current price is 6121, thereabouts. We could just set an entry price at 6131. So basically, 8.9 it's showing, but basically roughly 10 points above the current market price. And obviously here we set our size, we set how big we want our trade to be. We can set an expiry for it if it doesn't work in the next couple of hours, couple of minutes even. We can just have it closed out. And indeed we can add the stop loss and the take profit here and change it via points or the price level you're targeting as well. And then finally, if you're looking for maybe you want to go long, you want to buy the NASDAQ, you want to buy our US Tech 100, but you're not happy about current price levels, it's currently 6121, maybe you want to wait for it to drop 10 points, you just put in 6111. And now, factoring in the spread, etc., you're basically looking for a sort of 10-point drop before you enter the trade. And again, you've got the expiry and take profit options right there. And then you literally place the order, and that's it. So now we're just waiting for a 10-point drop for that order to become a position. So notice that now under positions, we've still got the 4. There's no sign of that US Tech 100 trade except under this orders tab. So it's pending. It hasn't happened yet. Once it triggers, so if the market drops 10 points, which I'm sure it probably will, the market's quite volatile, you'll be into the trade. Maybe we just fire off into the distance and you don't get triggered, then that's obviously the disadvantage of the limit order, is that you maybe just don't ever get filled. But if it does, it will transition over to the positions area, and in this case we'd then have 5 positions. So I hope that all makes sense. Does that cover what you were looking for there, Ruben? So while we're in the while we're in this section of the platform, we've looked at positions, we looked at orders. Next tab along is history. So here we can just see some of the trades that we've placed, and so we can see the entry price, the closing price, and if we want to see that in more detail, we can just click on a statement, and that'll actually bring up something we can even put into Excel, or you can save in your trading log in terms of some more specific details on what your trades have been, which is obviously all something you need to do to judge how well your trading strategy is working. Transactions includes things like depositing. So if you chuck 10 grand into the account, that's going to show up right here. If you've done any withdrawals, it's going to all keep a log of it right there. Now if we move further to the right hand side of this section, you'll see we've got news. So in our news we have a kind of a mixture of just sort of stock market general fundamental news, but we've also got some kind of technical levels that have fed through into this as well. So obviously this one's talking about 3M and a possible RSI overbought situation. If you actually want to look at the details of this, as it says, it's only available in the live account. And then a little bit further over from news, you've got signals. So I would say the best use of signals in general is just an extra source of information, a source of ideas. It's never good to blindly follow any other source of information except your own trading plan, but these signals can obviously provide you with some extra ideas, confirm or deny trade ideas you already had yourself. So again, we're looking at maybe a dollar Turkish lira trade here, anticipating a price rise, the signal says. But again, if you want to look at the details of that, go onto a live account. Maybe I can actually, if I jump over to my live trading account, maybe I can actually show you these, just give us a little bit of a sense of things. So what this particular signal is saying is that, well, maybe we get a little dip in the dollar, but they're still feeling positive about the dollar, so expecting a little dip down to a limit entry around 3.8, suggesting a stop loss down at 3.76, and then a first target at 3.885, a second target at 3.95. So again, only do this if it fits in with your own individual trading strategy. Don't follow this blindly, but it's a good little extra source of information. And then if I maybe look at that news that we were looking for, let's have a look at this 3 overbought level. Let's talk about this RSI being overbought over here. Overbought, yet still they're targeted in a bit more upside because we're in a kind of bullish alignment with the RSI. Seeing if there's any kind of variations on the news we got here, but you can see a lot of different instruments being covered here. So bringing back the slides back in here. The other thing is I wanted to show you was some different options in terms of layouts. So I already showed you that kind of layout button at the top. We'll reiterate that. So what you can do is you've got this layout button here, so just scrolling through the different layouts, and of course just to show you again, there's those three. What you can also do is select multi-chart mode. So that would actually display all those charts that we had tabbed along the top and just showing the one. We can actually show the multiple. And then what you can also have is what we call the free chart mode, and this allows you just to kind of drag and drop the charts into different spots and gives you a bit more kind of customization option in terms of how you'd want these particular charts to look. So that's sort of, there's a fair bit of flexibility involved in these layouts. Just a quick question on David in terms of ETFs. We have US ETFs in this section here. I think there's probably a bigger selection of European, why did I say that? Yeah, a bigger selection of UK ETFs, but we do nonetheless have some of the bigger US ETFs going on there as well if you're that way inclined. That's why I like this the watch list area, is that you can make your own customized watch lists. So again, keeping this area up here, going from Finder is typically where I leave it, and that's where we have all our kind of predefined lists. So obviously a lot of share markets, some options, but then indices, forex, commodities, bonds, and then just a section for the most popular traded markets from our clients. But if you go to watch this, maybe you've got a bit of a specialist interest. You call it whatever you want. You know, my favorites, my faves, maybe something like that. And then here you can either just plus in the market here and say, oh, you know, Brent's my favorite, gold's my favorite. Or you could say, I believe you can just, no, I think you can pull it up from here and drag and, oh, there we go. So now that we've got that dollar CAD in there, we pulled it in from the other section. We've got that in our fave section too. US 10-year yield, get that in there too. That's no longer in other markets, that's in our fave section. And then obviously just create a second watch list here, so you can all customize it to the different markets that you trade and have them easily accessible. So say we do want to look at this dollar CAD chart or gold chart, we literally just say, whoop, no, don't need to open that. I tend to right click and just say new chart, and then we've got dollar CAD showing up. If we want to see it a bit more clearly, click on our single chart mode. Oh, I said gold, didn't I? But there we go. So we've got a second gold chart. We already had one gold chart up. New chart again, dollar CAD, up there. Now, the other thing I wanted to touch base on was we've had a look through watch lists here and how to create a new list. Oh, I didn't mention the Finder bar. It's fairly self-explanatory, I suppose, but you can indeed use this Finder up here, and it's quite intuitive. Say if we are looking for the FTSE 100, just kind of typically type in the FTSE 100, and it's quite smart. It'll find these various ETFs, but it'll also have that UK 100 mark in there too. Or type in something like the DAX index, that will show up our Germany 30 DAX proxy market. So particularly good if you're trading something that's not in your typical watch list. Now, the other thing I mentioned was alerts, the price alerts here. So there is an indication up here. We've got the email alerts. So you can set yourself, let's say if we're talking about gold, notify me when the bid price or the ask price, notify me when the bid is higher or lower than a certain price level, and then show up, pop up and play a sound. So that'd be like a new alert, and then obviously you can have a look at all your current alerts. So say if we do just create that alert here, so it's not letting you place this alert because it's already qualifying for this. If we say higher, or if we just create a much higher than 59, bid is higher. What are we, 12? We're already higher than 12. So if we say 1270, then we're basically looking for a little 4-point jump up to 1270. We want an alert to know when it happened. Create alert, and then on alerts list, there it is. And if you want to get rid of it, just exit out. So the next thing I'm going to cover are charts. Now, I've kind of covered a little bit of this along the way. So in terms of actually getting a chart going, there are to load a new chart. So again, there's lots of ways of doing things in the platform. You don't need to really know all of the ways. You just need to find the way that's kind of comfortable to you, and after a while it just becomes almost like a automatic habit rather than something you're really thinking through. But you can right click on the icon in the watch list to create a new chart. You can click the chart icon in the deal ticket. So for example here, I'd shown you that how to create a new order. There's also a chart icon here. So that would load up a chart window. I say it would. That's the right. Obviously forgetting something here. That typically would load a chart there, or to be honest, what I end up doing most of the time is right click and new chart here. The other option is that if you have the chart window open here, you see there's a little plus button over here. You can just add yourself an extra tab. You know, there's something we recently typed in was RBS. But again, it will show you some popular markets you could just chuck in, maybe the Australia 200 or the Japan 225, and it will just load that chart up for us via there. Now, in terms of layout, we discussed the kind of multi-chart, free chart modes. To customize the chart, there are 14 different time frames. What I'll typically go to is up here. You've got the H1, that's 1 hour, as you can see here. You'll obviously go to a daily chart for the kind of longer term perspective. You can see the Nikkei, the Japan 225 has been on a real run, or a really short term chart like a 1 minute chart. And you're seeing little tiny fluctuations in the market there. So there are different chart types that we can go for as well. So you can see at the moment we've got this icon here looking like candlesticks, so just right next to where we chose the time frame. We've got the candlesticks. We can also make it a bar chart. You know, again, it's not so clear on a 1 minute chart, but you can basically bars instead of candles. It's kind of different visual representation. Line chart, another popular one, just basically on the closing period price, not showing you the highs and lows and the details, bit of a kind of cleaner look on the chart if you like. And then various slightly less conventional ones like the Heineken Ashi, and even a dots chart. So all a bit of extra optionality there in terms of how the chart actually looks. I tend to do a bit more traditional and look at the default candle chart. So you can zoom in on certain areas of the chart by just clicking the magnifying glass. So obviously I'll just scroll my mouse back and forth here, but you can also just click down the bottom and go back and look through the history of the chart. This just gives you a bit more detail on the particular candle patterns. So for example, here we can really clearly see this was a bit of an inside day pattern, then we had a little break from the inside day, now we're kind of stalling a bit, heading back into the pattern. Maybe we're going to get a false signal of an inside break. Here was a hammer pattern, sort of. It wasn't at the lows, but you could maybe say that one was. You can see the candle patterns a bit more. If you're less inclined to look at the candle pattern, you more want to look at the general price direction, but have a bit of detail from the highs and lows too. You could just zoom out here, and obviously the more you zoom out, the more older time frame you get. So there are various viewing options as well. So you can remove various bits of the chart. So say you don't want a grid, remove the grid lines. Maybe you don't want to see the periods. So we're obviously on an hourly chart here. We can just remove those particular period lines out there. Maybe you don't want to see the volume at the bottom. It's tick volume, so it's not actual transaction volume. So it's not always the most useful. Can remove that. Deal map, just remove that. You can maybe you don't even want to see the ask. Sometimes I'll remove this, the bid and the ask price, just to make the support and resistance levels that you're drawing in a bit more clear. You can remove those bid and ask lines. And if you've got any orders, they'll show up on the chart. Let's see if we've got examples of that. They can disappear too. So various customization options. I probably should mention the two default color options that we have. So you can change basically the color of everything here under this kind of almost like, what is that, like a paint box looking icon. What you can also do is just go up to here and go switch color theme and just turn it into the black color theme if you prefer that. It's probably, if you're spending a lot of time in front of the screen, then actually this black option may be a little bit easier on the eyes. If you're doing a lot of what I do is kind of copying out the charts, putting them on Twitter and things like that, or indeed doing these webinars, people tend to say that actually you could see the chart a bit easier when it's the white mode. Also, just quick question from Dipin is how do you add the different charts on the top as tabs? So maybe the default mode is just have this multi-chart mode. What you can just do is press this single chart mode, and in single chart mode the other charts become tabs instead of all displayed there as multiple charts. And then you just add this little plus button if you want to add a new chart. And obviously you can just X out. So you don't want to look at the Nikkei anymore, just cross it out. And we don't have to look at that tab anymore. It's not going to show up in any of our chart modes. So the other thing we often want to do for our charts is add some indicators, also add some drawing tools like trend lines and support and resistance levels. And we obviously want to remove those sometimes. There's different ways of going about that. And indeed we can trade straight from the chart. I did mention that at the start, where we often have the bid and the ask price at the top of the chart. Or you can just right click on the chart. So start from the start. If we go right click, then you can see there's an indicators button here. So a lot of what you want to do on a chart you can do via right clicking. If you like right clicking and just seeing a big list and remembering where it is in the list, you can add a simple moving average, for example. Or if you just want to go specifically to the indicators icon, that's up here. So anything involving the chart mostly is in and around here. So again, if we wanted to add that simple moving average, 14 periods, okay, boom, there it is. Say we wanted to add something towards the bottom of the chart. It's going to be in the same kind of area, but instead of maybe a trend indicator, it could be an oscillator. Maybe we want to add the commodity channel index. So we're happy with those settings. There it is. So we accidentally pressed the wrong thing up there. We didn't actually want to add a median. We can actually go through the list here on the left and actually add in what we intended to do, maybe a volatility measure like true range, and add that in. So say we've got a few different indicators on here, but actually we want to switch to a different view. What you can do is save this as a template. So again, you can right click, and here you just say click on Save Template, and just call it whatever you like. So we've already got one for volatility, so maybe we don't even need to save it. So in which case you don't have to. You could just click on Template, and then I've got one here which I just call my Jasper template. You could save it as that. Or again, if we just want to go to a template that I'll typically use with the RSI and a couple of moving averages on and a certain level of zoom, then again you've kind of just got that right there for you. You can just jump straight to it. So any previously saved templates with various indicator combinations, you can just jump and switch to that as and when you like. Now if I wanted to remove the RSI, literally just a little X button there, remove that. Or indeed, as is often the case, you can just go right click and have a look at your indicators. That's mostly for adding indicators, but you've got a list of objects on the chart here. So if you've got indicators here, maybe I don't want that 50 period moving average, I'll just X out of that. Or again, we can go to the top of the chart and have a look at the indicators that we have on the screen. So that's this last icon on the right. And we could just remove that 20-day period as well if we wanted, so just X out of it there. And then say if I did draw a support line under these lows over here, but then I didn't want to do that anymore, I could right click and just delete it, or I can change the settings of the line, change the color, make it dash, make it thicker, and then say if I didn't actually like that, again we've got this horizontal line which we can just delete up in the indicators list up to here. So again, I'm showing you all the options, but most of the time you just need to choose your one option which is your favorite. No, I think we've got, unless anyone had some specific specific questions about the chart. Jens just asking a question here about a double position. When you say double position, so yeah, that would be very nice, yeah, wouldn't it? Yeah, if you could double the position at your original price. No, that would be too good to be true. So what it would be is that you'd basically have the first half of your position at your original price, and then the second half of your position would be at the current market price. So in essence, you've got a position which has got a kind of average price of the two price levels at the time that you, from when you first clicked it and from when you doubled it. Hope that makes sense. But obviously that would be just too good, wouldn't it, if you could wait for the market to go up and then double your trade at the original price level. Obviously everyone would just do that instead of, it's yeah, you obviously, yeah, you can't kind of retrospectively trade, if you know what I mean. So one good thing that can be a real pain in other platforms is it's very easy to create a new account, and it's very easy to jump between the accounts. So this is just talking about some of the kind of general functionality of the platform here. Switching trading accounts, depositing funds, the live chat, accessing LCG analysis, which is obviously something I'm quite heavily involved with. the My LCG page, which is where you can do a lot of this functionality too. Changing a workspace, and we mentioned switching the color theme already. So switching trading account, you'll notice up here, this is basically the kind of key summary of your account balance in this particular account, but as you saw me do before, I'll just click on the little drop down, and here's my other accounts. I've got, you know, one demo spread betting, one demo CFD, one live spread betting, and I could just go trading accounts here, new live account, new demo account. And once I do that, they just show up in this list pretty much almost instantaneously. And then you can just switch between the various accounts. Here a little ding, 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 and you know you're into a different account. So it's my CFDs account. Now, a lot of the kind of general functionality is along the kind of top here, as you sort of normally would expect in a sort of Windows-based program. So live chat, you know, one of the reasons that LCG can be a good option to trade with is a well-established company with a very strong level of support. And so, you know, sometimes things will happen which you don't understand, and you want to be able to talk to someone. You can obviously call our support number, but you can also just do a live chat, and it will bring up a live chat window, enter in your name, etc., and you'll be talking to one of the LCG representatives about, you know, your concern or question. You can also access the LCG analysis page. So we talked about the news and signals down here. You know, we obviously generate a lot of our own analysis and have different areas in which you can access that. So this is our particular branch of LCG analysis, where we have a lot of articles written. We also have analysis videos which are published too. A lot of my good self there, giving some different ideas for the markets. We've also got a specialist section on technical analysis, the economic calendar, obviously always very good to know. That's available on the LCG site as well. A lot of this is accessible from the LCG website, but obviously if you're already in the platform, it makes sense just to go to it from the platform. It's just a bit easier. And so a lot of this analysis, again, you can kind of get to with the same My LCG, but here we're starting with my accounts instead of analysis. And in accounts, you know, obviously here is where you can do the deposits, launch the various platforms, make withdrawals here, move funds around between the two different accounts. It's all very intuitive within the My LCG section. And obviously you can save different workspaces. So I've actually, I've got this slightly simpler layout, something more akin to the default layout for talking to you guys, but then I have my own saved workspace. Thank you very much for attending. I hope I answered your questions. I hope that was a fairly decent run through of the webinar, gave you an explanation of most of the key functionality. I probably didn't cover it all. It would just take a lot longer to do so, but I think I covered the key bits. So thank you again very much for attending. Yeah, it's a bit of a kind of longer webinar than normal. Our Monday market analysis webinars are more like sort of 20-25 minutes, but I think this hopefully would have given you the bulk of what you need for using the LCG Trade platform. So I hope all of you had the best of success using it, and wish you the very best for the future. Thank you very much, everyone. This is Jasper signing out.